Thank you everyone for joining us again. Our next panel session of the day is entitled Fintech for the Underserved. Join me as I welcome back Gopi Ganesalingam, Vice President, Tech Ecosystem and Globalisation, TEG, from Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, to highlight on our speakers for this session. Over to you, Gopi.
Thank you for staying on, ladies and gentlemen. Our next segment is titled Fintech for the Underserved. This segment is all about adoption and inclusion of fintech. So, ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, progress has been made in financial inclusion globally, including Asia Pacific. However, despite the efforts of traditional financial institutions, the delivery of financial services at affordable cost to the disadvantaged, low and middle income segments of society remain an issue, with more than 1 billion Asians being unable to access the most basic fundamental financial services, such as savings account and credit lines. So what is the answer to this problem statement? Fintech is the most innovative advancement of these times and provides solutions that support the quest for financial inclusion. Fintech bridges the payment and credit gap. Although still at a very relatively nascent stage in Malaysia, Fintech is growing. It appeals to us because it offers low-cost, high-tech financial services and presents solutions that allow for a strong understanding of consumer habits to tap into the underserved and SME segments. So join us and together with MoneyMatch, Versa and Senang Insurance to understand how they are tapping into these segments. MoneyMatch, who are the first graduates of BNM's regulatory sandbox, will share on their cross-border digital solutions for the underserved. Versa, on the other hand, will share how they've managed to incentivize savings. Lastly, Senang Insurance will present on how to upsell micro-insurance with just a click. Boys and girls of the industry, this is an interesting panel of entrepreneurs who have navigated the tough regulatory framework and requirements to get to where they are today. Let's learn from them what's the landscape for financial inclusion. Please join us after the event. Please join us in the networking lounges to further connect with these companies after the presentation, because you'll learn so much from these entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.
My name is Haddy. I'm the CEO of MoneyMatch. I'm here today to talk about cross-border digital solutions for the underserved in Malaysia. So let's just jump straight into it. I suppose, first of all, let's define what are cross-border transactions. If you're not familiar, generally it means, like, for companies, it's typical SMEs, you're paying for, things in your ordinary course of business, right? Whether it's your payroll, paying international contractors or freelancers, paying overseas vendors for goods or services rendered, purchasing inventory, whether it's raw materials or finished raw inventory. And there's also, managing international group finances, whether it's, dividend payments, working capital transfers, investments, things like that. So jumping into the problem in the current state of things is traditional banks generally tend to favor large corporations. And when I say large corporations, you need to be doing, in the tens of millions of ringgit worth of transactions in a year, right? The majority of Malaysian companies are more in this micro and the small segment, which don't fall into this category. And at the same time, in individuals themselves, unless you're a high net worth individual, you don't get any particular special treatment. So generally speaking, these two categories of customers are what we would define as the underserved, right? And why are they underserved is because when it comes to cross-border transactions, they generally pay expensive foreign exchange rates. And they bear pretty exorbitant transaction fees. There's a limited amount of payout methods and ways in which they can, effect payments to beneficiaries. Usually, it has to be directly only to a bank account. Right? You can't do cash payout. You can't do payments to e-wallets, things like that. At the same time, the number of countries and currencies that your typical bank can do in Malaysia is fairly limited. Right? It's limited to mostly the typical, your G7 countries, US, Australia, Hong Kong, things like that. Maybe some of the more exotic countries may not be serviced by your particular branch or bank. At the same time, there's also a lack of customer service, right? most banks are moving towards more of a digitizing and automation, which unfortunately means that most of the time, if something goes wrong, you end up spending a lot of time talking to a robot, or sending emails which take a couple of days for you to get a reply from, right? At the same time, the whole payment system which traditional banking is based on is actually a legacy system. And it's been in service for a long time, like over 100 years at its base level. And the reality is that it's very multi-layered, fragmented, and complicated. And this basically results in a lot of unnecessary delays, because there are a lot of mismatches between compliance processes and operational processes, as well as like a lot of levels of approval between the different entities. And because there are a lot of different entities, there's a lot of hidden costs involved, because every layer, they are doing a service, so they have to charge a cost. And this ultimately is translated to a higher cost to you as the sender of the funds. At the same time, because it's a legacy system, there are restrictions to, like the ability to upgrade the system. They are kind of hobbled by the legacy infrastructure, which you can't really upgrade it. I mean, you can upgrade it, but it's only to a certain extent, right? In some respects, it's probably better to just rebuild the whole system altogether, which most banks will not do, because as flawed as it is, it works in the current state, and people just accept it per se. And so MoneyMatch, I mean, we kind of specialize in the B2B segment, and we also do a lot of international payments for our own use. And these are the sort of the pain points that we sort of like encountered along the way, right? The things that, unlike individuals to transfer money, usually it's very straightforward, because they're either sending to their own accounts overseas, or they're sending on behalf of family members, for example, like paying for their children's education fee and stuff like that. For businesses, there's usually more complex and rigorous onboarding and compliance requirements, right? When you want to onboard with a bank, you need to submit all your company secretarial documents. You need to get all the authorized signatories. On top of that, when you do transactions, you have to submit your all the supporting documents, right? Your invoice, your bill of lading, things like that. So at the same time, it's all very tedious, right? And I suppose most business people take it as the cost of doing business, right? But the reality is that a lot of it could be streamlined, right? At the same time, there are a lot of traditional businesses. You'd feel intimidated by the newest technology and the digital ecosystem, right? The world is moving pretty quickly, and technology is advancing, every minute, every hour, every day. And there's always that fear of being left behind, especially in business, right? Time is money. At the same time, because things move so quickly, there's a lot of this lack of agility and adaptation by the system to cater to the business needs. So, for example, like different destination countries and currencies that are supported by the bank, that just hobbles things, right? For example, like if you're a travel agency, maybe pre-COVID times, you to send money to, for example, say send USD to Peru to pay for a tour package, right? Some banks won't do that because they don't support Peru. So things like that, right? It hobbles your ability to do business because of the capabilities or lack thereof of the traditional banking system. At the same time, speed is also of the essence, like I mentioned just now. Sometimes, payments for goods and services which are held, for example, like goods which are held at the port, time is of the essence. If you pay late, you'll be subject to holding fees, things like that. At the same time, probably specifically in Malaysia, the tools that are offered to businesses are often quite lacking in terms of like managing your portfolio, your banking accounts and all that. It is definitely way not as advanced as what is offered to retail users. So MoneyMatch, as I said before, we focus primarily on the B2B segment, so we are very in tune to all these problems. And we basically aim to try to solve all these problems. Maybe talking a little bit about the payment landscape in general, globally, or rather even in Malaysia, right? In 2020, the McKinsey Global Payments Report stated that cross-border transactions revenue was about $220 billion in total. And, especially, in the last 1.5 years or 2 years with COVID-19, although it has disrupted a lot of businesses, there are a lot of paradigm shifts, right? And the main thing that we see is basically like there's an increasing role of digital platforms and ecosystems, which don't require businesses to send, runners to the bank to fill out forms and all that, because you need to do a cashless or and contactless sort of transaction, right? And at the same time, SMEs and B2B2C operators such as things like e-commerce, they've basically really boomed during this period because again, because they're sort of focused, those who have been able to adapt and focus to this new paradigm, which is where things are all online, they have managed to grab market share from the traditional players. And yeah, just generally speaking, the payment landscape itself, the processes and all that, they have basically innovated as well with the times, and they're improving their offerings to players in the market, right? Yeah, so obviously while the market is very big, right? A lot of it is still dependent on the old infrastructure, unfortunately. So, I mean, when it comes to making cross-border transactions for businesses, right? You look at what are the options, right? Typically, so there's this chart here that I'll show you what are the options usually for a typical business, right? So number one, most businesses will be familiar with payment processors. So these are like card companies. So for example, like American Express, Visa, MasterCard, or bigger players like PayPal, Stripe. So these, I mean, they do charge fairly high fees and high exchange rates. And the transaction limits are fairly low, right? Because they're more catered towards mass market. It's more like a B2B2C sort of thing. So then it's not really an ideal solution for businesses that are trying to send like, $100,000 every week. Yeah, you won't be able to use a payment process for that. No, even if you could, the cost would be quite exorbitant compared to, say, doing a telegraphic transfer. On the other hand, you also have the rise of money services businesses. That's what we call them. So these are effectively like licensed money changers and remittance companies. So these guys, they basically have access to pretty low rates and fees, right? Unfortunately, most of them also have fairly low transaction limits. Therefore, they also cannot cater to the needs of businesses, which are maybe in the medium category. Some of them are very tech savvy. So maybe things like, for example, companies like BigPay, right? Pretty tech savvy. They even have a mobile app, things like that. But they're also on the other end of the spectrum. You have like literally brick and mortar places where you need to go and sign a check and for them to initiate the payment, right? Then at the other end of the legal spectrum, right? There's also hawala, which is effectively like illegal international money transfers. I mean, this system has existed for the longest time, right? And although the authorities try to step it up, it still exists, right? And some businesses, especially smaller ones, do partake in it to try and save costs. Unfortunately, there are quite a lot of risks involved. I mean, it being illegal is one of them, but the other part is also like, it's not particularly convenient. It's not because of the need for not having a paper trail. There's no online, access. You probably need to know a guy who know a guy, to get access to the service, right? The limits are also low because, you can't be sending large transactions and attract attention to yourself. But yeah, definitely the fees and rates will be quite competitive. So maybe here's a good time to talk about my company, MoneyMatch. So where we fit in is that we are a licensed money service business. As I said before, we specialize in the B2B space, right? And where we differ from the traditional money service business is that, number one, we are fully digital, right? We started off with the idea of just generally being better than the banks. We also have pretty high transaction limits. So we can do, for B2B, we can do about 2 million ringgit per company per day, right? Which is 10 times more than what a typical licensed money service business can do. And we do find that, the sweet spot for most SMEs is somewhere between 100,000 and 2 million ringgit per day. Yeah, the bulk of our customers actually fit in this category well. And yes, we're licensed by BNM. We have multiple online platforms that make it easy for customers our business customers to connect to us. So I'll go into that a bit in the next few slides. We're licensed in Malaysia, Brunei, and Australia. We have a blockchain integrated digital platform, or rather several platforms. And we have built out our proprietary cross-border payments network over the last few years. And this basically what we endeavor to do is to provide global coverage and swift execution of your transactions at the lowest possible cost, right? We're very proud to say that we've facilitated over 2.5 billion ringgit worth of transactions in the last 3-4 years. And we're a pioneer in the Malaysian fintech scene. Some of our achievements are listed here. Right? We were the first in Malaysia to undertake electronic KYC, or electronic know your customer, for our retail customers. We were also the first regulated entity that was executed live transactions on the Ripple blockchain network. As of today, in Malaysia, there's only 3 companies which are active on this network, which is MoneyMatch, CMB, and our other competitor, Tranglo. And then thirdly, we're also we were one of the first batches to enter Bank Negara Malaysia's fintech regulatory sandbox. And as of now, we are the only graduatee from that sandbox, right? So we graduated from the sandbox to become a full licensed player. Talking a little bit about how we do what we do. I mean, in a nutshell, basically, we leverage a lot of technology and process improvement, as well as working smart and not working smart as well as hard to achieve what we set out to do, right? Our service layer is, as I mentioned earlier, we are fully API integrated to all our partners. So there's no manual intervention between sending information between us and our payout partners, whether they are banks overseas or licensed money operators overseas. As well as being a prominent member of the Ripple blockchain network, we also have a very good relationship with them that allows us to connect to other financial institutions which are on this network. At the same time, we place a strong emphasis on customer support. Right? We have a large, I think fully half of our workforce is actually dedicated to servicing customers, right? Attending from A to Z, from onboarding the customer to our platform, to guiding them how to use it, to ongoing transaction support, right? As well as post-transaction support if required. So we do strongly believe that if the customer has a really good experience, then they will keep coming back. And this is kind of proven in the fact that we have about 80-90% customer stickiness rate, right? They keep coming back. And ultimately, at the same time, we leveraging on technology, we try to minimize human intervention where possible. Right? We try to automate as much as possible, to remove all that inefficiency and bureaucracy in between all the different layers. Right? At the same time, a lot of this technical ability is built in-house. We don't outsource a lot of things, so we're very hands-on with our technology and how it works. And so when things go wrong, we know exactly what the problem is. At the same time, we apply a lot of, we actually have a data science team, right? About 8 people. And they basically work a lot on, applying all the latest, machine learning algorithms and, all these scalable solutions to optimize various aspects of our business, whether it's treasury operations, sales, lead generation, marketing, things like that. All of that is done in-house. So talking a little bit about the service layer itself. So we're basically, as I mentioned earlier, we're API connected to all our partners, right? And all our partners form basically our global payout partner ecosystem, which I'll cover in the next slide, right? So this encompasses not just payments to bank accounts, but also to e-wallets, cash pickups, bill payments, and as well as card payments as well. And then on the other side, the part which the front-facing part of it. We have various platforms where our users can interact with us. So our users, we do, the majority of our users are SMEs, but we do cater to individuals as well. So individuals will interact with us via our mobile apps or our web dashboard, whereas SMEs will interact with us via a specific web dashboard platform that was built specifically for them. We also cater to financial institutions as customers, enterprise clients, and this basically all translates to basically improve pricing, improve efficiency and speed, and just overall efficiency of the whole network. Talking a little bit about our coverage, we currently now have access to more than 80 countries and 30 currencies. And this is a mix of our own direct bank accounts, licensed money transfer operators, as well as bank accounts overseas. So we've got, when we're talking about bank accounts, we actually have direct bank accounts in, Malaysia, Brunei, Australia, India, Vietnam, China, all these key trade routes. Right? And we're continuously still expanding. We're looking to by end of next year, we'll definitely have access to more than 100 plus countries and more than 50 plus currencies. Some of our customer feedback, our customers have been pretty supportive of us, and mainly because they are underserved, so they didn't really have any other choice, and most of them, they still maintain their banking relationships because they may have credit lines or loans with the bank, but just because they have that, the bank's not offering them any preferential exchange rates, right? Whereas we continuously do so. At the same time, our platform updates the rates every 15 minutes, which allows businesses to more closely track the real exchange rate at any given point in time. Most banks only update their rates at most 3 times a day. Typically, it's only once or twice a day, right? So that's also a function of why the pricing is really bad from banks, because they just pick one rate and they charge a huge markup to cover all the fluctuations during the day. Whereas for us, more savvy customers can be more in control of what rate they want to get, right? Depending on the time of the day. So talking about like actual case studies with some of our customers from 2020, right? We had a customer, which I can't mention their names, but this was a very successful e-commerce company that has grown with us from day one. They distribute the products through Lazada and Shopee, and they basically use us to pay the international suppliers for inventory imported from China, right? So in 2020 alone, we saved them like over 142,000 ringgit worth of fees. Right? This is a very conservative estimate. It could be much more than that, depending on what their bank actually charged them. Secondly, we have a very big and popular gaming computer systems assembler. They make gaming PCs, bespoke and standardized ones as well. So they use us to pay the international vendors for computer components, as well as they pay for software royalties and all that. So we saved them like 73,000 ringgit in FX fees and rates, right? Lastly, we also have an interesting use case where we had this software development company. They use us to pay all the independent contractors, which are located overseas. So these contractors would be like freelancers or even salaried people who contribute content in terms of IT, designing, marketing, customer support. And these are spread across the globe. Maybe every month they do like 50 payments to 50 people all across the globe, and in some places, some random small European countries as well, which most banks will not service, right? Whereas with MoneyMatch, they can just upload a bulk upload file once, and then they get a good rate for everyone, and boom, it's all out, right? In some cases, the payment's made instantly. So for them, we've saved like even over 17,000 ringgit worth of fees, and I'm sure we're on track to do more for them this year. So yeah, I think that's all I have to share today. Thank you so much for your time. If you are interested, please do check out our website or drop us an email at the links below. Check out our social media pages. At the same time, we're also having a booth at this Malaysian Tech Month organized by MDEC. So please do drop by if you have any questions or any further queries, and then we're happy to assist you where we can. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Richmond and I'm a co-founder of Versa. Today I will be sharing with you on how Versa can help you save better and faster. My agenda today is simple. I will first start by introducing Versa, then I show how it can help with your financial planning, your saving, and your own personal finance goals. Then I will talk about the underlying asset known as money market funds, and then I will share our plans to improve Versa. So our first product is one that gives you returns on par with fixed deposit, but without the lock-in. You get your withdrawal back in 1 working day, as long as you withdraw before the cutoff time of 2:30 p.m. Then you can start depositing or start saving as low as RM1. And then when you withdraw, all interest will be calculated up to the day of withdrawal. It's really that simple. So where and how Versa help with financial planning? A lot of people ask us this question. So let me refresh everyone's mind on some personal finance 101. So we usually start by understanding our cash flow needs in the short term on the left and the long term. Then we assign different functions of groups to these time frames. In the long term, people usually plan retirement or grow their wealth. In the short term, people look to access their cash, whether it's for daily use, emergency use, setting up a sinking fund, or just keeping it idle, right? So a sinking fund is a fund that consists of short to mid-term savings for specific large purpose goal. So for example, some people want to buy a laptop, they want to go on holidays, or just save for their car or house down payment, right? These are all done in the short term. Then they select the best financial tool, and most people are familiar with long-term planning, right? For wealth building and retirement, these are usually invested higher risk assets. So the common ones are your stocks, properties, and unit trusts. But in the next few slides, I will also show how you can optimize your short term to earn more to help with your long-term planning. And because Versa has high liquidity, 1-day withdrawal, low risk, which preserves your capital, the most common groups that Versa are best used for are these 3 highlighted in green here: emergency fund, your sinking fund, and your idle cash fund. Just mainly for these 3 for now. So let me explain how it is highly liquid and low risk. Firstly, when you deposit with Versa, you instantly become part of a group of investors. Your money is pulled together and placed in the money market fund known as the Affin Hwang Enhanced Deposit Fund. This fund is managed by Affin Hwang Asset Management. They are a very, very reputable asset management firm in Malaysia with assets of over 80 billion ringgit. And number 2, unlike any other money market funds you commonly hear in the market, which can invest in other slightly higher risk assets like government bonds, the Enhanced Deposit Fund or EDF only invests into fixed deposits. I repeat again, fixed deposits of financial institutions. So it's very safe because it only invests into fixed deposits. The fund manager then allocates your money into 2 groups. The first group, 99.6% of the money is invested into multiple banks fixed deposits. The second, a very small portion of it, 0.04, is kept aside to pay off your daily withdrawals or any customer's daily withdrawals. What the fund manager does then is he or she negotiates with multiple banks to offer the best or highest interest rate for the fund. So the bigger the fund, the stronger the fund's negotiation power, and then the better returns or the better rates can be returned to you. So in short, what Affin Hwang and Versa is doing is that they are strategically placing your money into fixed deposits to give you the best interest rates and allow you the flexibility to withdraw the next day. And here's how it can help you save better and faster and achieve some of your short-term financial goals much faster. So take an example of a person working towards a 5,000 ringgit emergency fund, but only has the capacity to save 300 monthly, right? So with Versa, you can start to save 300 ringgit monthly and earn the interest month by month. And the interest will also compound. But with fixed deposit or FD, it would take you about 16 months to meet the 5,000 ringgit fixed deposit minimum before placing it into fixed deposit. Yes, most fixed deposits have a minimum of about 1,000, 5,000 or 10,000 ringgit, depending on the bank. So at the end of your fixed deposit maturity, you'll find that money market funds earns you about 4 times more. And this 4 times more is because number one, you start earning immediately, and number two, you can do so with smaller amounts. You know, if you're more hardworking, you don't have to wait for the end of the month to save 300. You can even save 100 ringgit weekly or daily, or up to you, because you know the minimum is 1 ringgit, and you can put in any amount anytime you want. Here's how it can benefit your other financial goals. Firstly, it saves you a lot of time and effort, because number one, you no longer need to shop for the highest FD rates. You no longer need to fulfill the T&Cs of all the FDs that come with it. For example, you know, they talk about fresh funds only, minimum and maximum amounts. You have to pay your utility bills. And the second part of it is also you no longer need to plan your fixed deposits. And that is a daunting task for a lot of people who wants to save money that they cannot risk. For example, this guy here, he can't decide whether he should put 6 months at 1.8 or he should put 3 months at 1.7. What if he needs the cash? Or how much to put into 3 months? How much to put into 6 months? All that is solved with Versa. Number two, a person is using Versa also can make instant or on-the-spot investment decisions. Right? During COVID, markets now are especially volatile. And by having your money back in 1 day, you can take advantage of this situation. We're also able to capture that promotion or deal where you only pay for items when you love it. So a real life example of one of our customers using it will be for our wedding. So before the wedding, she actually moved her funds to Versa. Then they take their sweet time to book the planner, the photographer, and the venue over the course of a few months. So we're all actually up to a year. And while doing all that, these funds can still sit into a sinking fund or Versa and still earn. For first-time investors, Versa is a very good introduction into the investment world with a very low-risk product. Why? Because new investors or people who start saving young can feel and learn about the power of compounding interest and then discipline themselves to start saving more often and more efficiently. And finally, here are our plans to improve Versa. Number one, we want to reduce deposit times to make your money work faster. Number two, we want to reduce withdrawal times from the 1 day to instant. So to give you true liquidity, and you can use it like a savings account in the future. Lastly, we want to introduce higher return funds for you to grow your wealth and also plan for your retirement. So your equity funds, bond funds, all that is coming, but give us time, okay? Meanwhile, I have a small surprise for you. You can use this promo code written here, 1XMLJ4EA. Upon sign up, you will get 10 ringgit upon your first 100 ringgit deposit. That's all I have for you today. I look forward to sharing with you more in future. Thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharian. I'm the co-founder of Senang. We have been in the market for close to 3 years. What we do is that we enable alternative distribution channels to upsell insurance with a click. Like what you saw earlier, with just one click, a cleaning app can now sell insurance. But people always ask me, why insurance? It's so boring. What can you do? It's so hard. And this is usually what comes out. Nobody wakes up in the morning to think about insurance. That's not what they want. Insurance is not transparent. I don't know what I'm paying for. And let's face it, there's 101 aggregators in the market now. So how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we create a solution that serves the underserved, that protects the cleaners who are B40, but at the same time protects the users, the clients, or an M40 or a T20, hence breaking 2 coconuts with 1 hit. This is who Senang are. We were launched in August 2018. We were one of the winners by 137 Ventures and MDEC co-organized accelerator. In June 2019, we won the Financial Innovation Lab Challenge by United Nations. In March 2020, we were voted the top 50 insurtech in Asia by IDC. In July, we launched a strategic partnership with Mita in Malaysia inbound tourism. And in September, we were selected to participate in the Google for Startup SGD pilot program. We are backed by Cradle, 137 Ventures, UNCDF, and NVS, my family firm. And who is our insurance partners? We have more than this, but our main insurance partners are general insurers, Zurich, Allianz, Pacific, Takaful Ikhlas, FWD Takaful, and we're in the process of embedding a few more insurance companies as well. Our partners, as I'll show you earlier, as I'll show you later, it's your cleaning companies, your cooperative platforms, your gig platforms, your gold platforms. All of these platforms, companies, SMEs, corporates are using our technology to sell insurance to their database. One, to monetize their revenue, to increase their revenue. Two, to, of course, to serve the underserved, which is our customers, the B40. How we integrate? We have two types of integration: API integration, merchant portal. What you saw earlier in the slides or in the video just now was API integrations. We have shown how an API works with as simple as that. With just a click, there's extremely no questions asked, extremely frictionless. The policy is issued within 1.26 seconds. So I'm going to show you another few more videos on how the recording, how the whole API integration and merchant portal works as well. This is another example which I showed to you how a delivery company, one of the leading logistic company in China, is using our platform in Malaysia. And when one of their licensees wants to make an order, for example, they want to make a delivery from point A to point B, they key in all the details, sender information, receiver information, and just one click, they click insurance. They key in their item name, they key in the insurance amount, which is the item value. Immediately, within seconds, upon saving it, the policies are already issued. As seamless, as easy as that. Zetio, Postor, and the licensees are able to provide this insurance to their users, which covers all their risk. The B40 or M40 micro SME use their platform a lot. In a nutshell, we have done this in a very easy manner. If you were to go directly to the insurance provider, this button will not be available. It will be what I will say, a proposal form, 16 days of work, and a policy will be issued. But just like this, the premium is actually, believe it or not, RM1 only, excluding SST. As low as that and as easy as that. This is how we believe. This, I believe, is something very different. Another example, our merchant portal. We created what you call a platform for the cooperatives, one of the many cooperatives working with us. So whenever one of the cooperatives key in their staff number, which is a very simple staff number, they key in that, they log into the system, immediately they will get a quotation, they will get the whole process in there. And believe it or not, everything is integrated through API. So imagine a 25-year-old cooperative that doesn't have any technology at all is now selling insurance through their members. As simple as that. But what is very unique is that we go one step further. At the point of checkout, which I'll show you in a short while. The cooperative members can choose either cash or loan. So imagine right now, as a cooperative, they're not doing well in this area of MCO and pandemic. Only way, sell motor insurance or any types of insurance and tell the members, hey, if you sell insurance, we can get commission returned back to you. On top of that, if you take a loan on top of that, you can get interest rate as well. So a cooperative is now making double the amount of money all through the platform system that we have in Senang. This is how seamless and easy our system is, and how seamless and easy our APIs and our merchant portals are integrated to serve the underserved, because majority of cooperative members are B40. So going back to here, what is next? This is the products that we offer. Apart from the technology, which you saw earlier, which is very convincing, very good, and live in the market for the past 3 years, this is what we do. We offer a variety of unique products, very niche, micro-based products to the market. We are probably one of the first in the market to introduce cleaning insurance, one of the first in the market to introduce daily critical illness insurance, lifestyle insurance. Various niche micro types of products are introduced through our platform. And coming soon, we have the likes of income protection, cyber liability, food spill, and various other types of insurance policies that are micro-based and uniquely integrated to the platform, to the partners app. As mentioned earlier, these are other case studies where we work with a travel agency, domestic travel. Whenever they book a domestic travel to book a car, to rent a car to go to Langkawi or Kedah, they can now add on insurance. Partner makes a profit, the customer gets security, and most importantly, it also helps to serve and protect the renters of the car, because it protects car insurance in a micro manner as well. Another one is the cleaner insurance. And this is one of my, per se, favorite product. And I'll show you a real life example right after this, how easy and seamless. Made Easy is one of our cleaning platforms. They have tons and tons and thousands of cleaners under them. So whenever a cleaner say that, okay, I want to start a job in Made Easy, I want to start my journey, the insurance for their medical expenses, accidental, PA in other words, is started. When they finish the job, the insurance finishes. For as low as RM1 a day, it covers up to 2,500 ringgit. As seamless and easy. And now I'm going to show you how it is sold through the app in real life. And another partner that uses the app is GoGet. We're one of the largest gig platforms in Malaysia. We give them two options to help to secure the B40s and the underserved. Monthly option or daily option. Daily option is cheaper than your teh tarik, RM1 only. Okay, with just a few questions, extremely no questions to be honest. They click what option they want, they answer whether they are OKU, they are in good health, or they are not bankrupt. They can immediately proceed for the questions, for the next steps in this angle. As simple as that, just answering a few tick and yes, everything starts, the insurance starts. So this is how we enroll B40s to our platform with minimal questions, minimal methods, minimal areas of work. So why partner with us? Why does this GoGet, this Made Easy, these platforms come to us, this cooperative platform comes to us? One, we develop the whole technology. So there's no extra cost to the insurance provider, to the partner. They don't have to pay anything. It comes free. All they have to do is start selling and monetizing their revenue base. Two, we are one of the first in the market to develop on-demand bite-sized insurance, very similar bite-sized type of insurance. Three, a lot of insurance companies are working with us because they can tap an untapped database of e-commerce and microfinance institutions, which is one of the first in Malaysia to do that. So with all these compelling reasons, you can see right now why a number of major MNCs in Malaysia are working with us, from GHL to Petronas to Thunder Match to Big Pay to Koperasi TNB. All of them, in one form or another, is integrated to our platform and working closely with us in terms of this. In terms of total transactions, we have done over 65,000 and we are doing over 10,000 policies in a month. But I want to refer you to this. And what I feel very proud is this. Over 30% of my insurance purchases are first-timer buyers. That means the first time ever someone from GoGet has bought insurance because it was so seamless, it was so easy to purchase the insurance. And we do not stop there. Sorry. We also help, as I mentioned earlier, to monetize the revenue shares. What happens is, whatever sales we do, on top of not charging you any development fees, we give you a 25% per transactions. Up to 25% the partner can earn this. Secondly, enterprise applications. We build a monthly retainer if you don't want, or you want it to be white label, with a development fee as well. And this is one example. People always ask me, how can RM1 can you sustain? How can a partner sustain? How can they increase their revenues? This is one example of a delivery company. So they were doing, through their RM1 deliveries, only 1,400 a month. Very minimal, very little. Imagine 10% is only 140 ringgit. But 50% of that customers are repetitive customers. Out of 360 transactions, 50% are repetitive customers. We managed to upsell them a quarterly policy, and now the partner is making close to 17,000 GWPs on a monthly basis, or sorry, on an annual premium basis. And this is only one product that we have done of how we managed to sell data. Secondly, we also see that B40s, especially at times like this, likes to do 3 to 4 works. One example is Made Easy. We found out that one of the Made Easy cleaners, they were cleaning for Made Easy and bought an insurance from us. At the same time, they made a delivery through our delivery partner, Delvia. And then we found out that, hey, The same person, they are cleaners, but they're also selling tudungs online and delivering it through Davia. So what we realized is that throughout 3 years of experience, B40s are doing more than one work to survive. And with this, we are now curating individual specific personalized policies as well. So in a nutshell, with the COVID-19 and global economic recession, companies are now looking for new forms of revenue to boost their bottom line. You and I know it. Even the government is looking for new forms of revenue. With Senang system ready, set and go, and already proven in the market with major MNCs, we believe we have a huge potential and a huge opportunity to work with fellow companies, SMEs, corporate startups, to find ways to monetize your revenue. And that's about it for me. I'm sorry if I went very fast. I'm accessible through my emails or calls, which I will show it to you, and you can just go to my website or LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all the gentlemen for those presentations about fintech for the underserved market like the B40 out there. I like the Versa tagline, do it your way. Well, we will now be moving ahead to our final session of the day. It will begin very shortly, so click join session and also complete the survey for us to potentially serve you better. See you in a bit.